big, but it doesn't happen. That's true. You know, why does it not happen? Because it has to be organic. It should make sense. If it makes sense, then it works.
Then it works. If it doesn't make sense, then what is the point? You're just wasting money, you know, to look like you're global or big or whatever.
Right.
So I think all collaborations need to have that little organic base. It should make sense for both fan bases.
Sure. और कौन सी चीज़ें right now? I think it's a very important point that you have raised, right? These sort of gimmicky, manufactured things that are put together for them to look big. Music में what are your pet peeves right now with just collaborations, things that just won't work, but people are following this cookie cutter method because सब कर रहे हैं, हम लोग भी अपना chance मार रहे हैं.
वो हर चीज में होता है. आप अभी देख लो. It's just about के like the whole, because there's no TikTok but Reels.
Sure.
Reels. So people are relying on Reels for their songs to pop. For how long? Is it something that you are going to look back at 20, 30 years and say, oh, this reel was legendary? No, you're not going to do that, right? So are you just making music for the moment, or are you making it for the legacy of the song? You know, so that becomes a question. And then you choose what you want.
So beautiful. In fact, wow, I think this is leading me to a question about legacy. And, you know, Hennessy has like built this unparalleled legacy in hip hop because of just being pure believers. Like they'll believe in the craft, they believe in doing things that we're doing right now. And this is so important, right? For say a critic, curator, conversationalist like me to be speaking with you and to get insights. And then this carries on, right? Like people start talking and, you know, taking whatever we are saying right now as food for thought. What is the legacy that you're building? And I also know that artists and most people tend to have very subconsciously a script in their mind, and we're playing out that script, right? That script could be a script of misery or it could be a script of victory. Aapka legacy kya hai? Is it following the script that you probably wrote when you were younger?
I feel like sometimes when you vocalize your legacy in terms of I want this legacy, like I have songs, I have a song called Living Legend, that doesn't mean I am a living legend, you know, but I feel like when you vocalize it sometimes, it gives a cue to the world, you know, of where you want to head, and, you know, and it's amazing that, you know, the power of suggestion, like once you say something like that, people start seeing you like that as well. I agree. So if you want a legacy, then one, obviously let your work speak for it. But at the same time, sort of put yourself in that position. Say, I am taking this space is mine, you know. So with me, you ask me like what my legacy would be or whatever, I would say that this space where I say writing is my craft, and, you know, I write a certain way, and this is what I have done for this game, which is change the outlook of the audience in terms of, like, before, I mean 3 years ago, 4 years ago, Indian hip hop, they were not paying attention to lyrics the way they started paying attention to lyrics when I started sort of putting these songs out. And then there was a whole culture of breaking down what I was saying on whatever. And I'm not taking credit for it. I'm not saying I was the only person doing it. But the point is that when you make people conscious of it, it becomes a thing, you know. It just so happened that I sort of was the trigger point in this, and then people suddenly were like, oh, but lyrics are important. So then they start judging everyone
on lyrics, yeah,
with that,
right?
You know, so that becomes the benchmark. That might not stay the benchmark. Might tomorrow somebody else might break through and be like, you know, and get something new to the game. But this will always remain a benchmark.
Sure.
You know, so lyrics now matter.
Of course.
And if that is my legacy, then I'm happy with it.
Beautiful. I'd like to say that will be one of your biggest legacies, and there'll be so many legacies you'll build. There's a lyric that I was obsessed with because when I first heard it, and I think कैसे मेरे देश में नहीं था, where you say कि एक बात कहूँगा 100 बात नहीं कहूँगा. I don't know. I think आप बोल सकते हो उसको if you can just sort of say those 2 lines, and that speaks for, I think, your craft.
So that lyric, एक बात करता मैं 100 बात नहीं. That is basically, honestly, it's just one. I was just in a very playful mood, and the fact is that I feel like if you can say something potent in as less space as possible, that is sort of the best impact. And मेरे हिसाब से मेरे कई गानों में ऐसे lines होते हैं that become memorable for people out of intention because I want them to be. You know, it is all like a method. There is a method to the
Sure.
madness, as you say.
Sure.
You know, so I think वो important है. I feel like, you know, if you can remember one line from a song, I have achieved what I wanted.
Oh,
You know,
for sure.
so I think that is always important.
Beautiful. And I think that sums up so many things and it explains so much also. I had a friend who once said, who would speak very less, and he said, I practice the economy of words for impact. And I felt that was remarkable.
Of course.
And in a scene like hip hop, where words are cheap, talk is cheap, right? Because everyone believes in, you know, there's a reason why we call it spitting verses also, I feel, because it's, you know, some of the words just mean nothing. And to find somebody who really measures and really practices that economy is remarkable.
But I also think that practicing economy with words in terms of, yes, like lyrics, when it comes to lyrics, we write a lot, you know,
Oh, yeah.
compared to other forms of music. But I feel like that's important in real life more so. I feel like if there's not too much talk in the real world, it's better for your music.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like I'm not on social media talking a lot. I don't like to talk in general. I'm not like super talkative person otherwise. So what happens is it makes your music heavier because that is where your message lies. It is not in your Instagram lives, in your little stories, in your, you know, social media. That's not where your, you know, where your expression is then. It's all in your songs. So then people don't look at that as sort of, you know, I want them to look at my music as my only form of expression. And then they look at it as, so they know me through my music. They don't know me through what I'm eating tonight on my stories, you know. So that I feel is the most important for me.
Wow. It's very inspiring, especially to not succumb to, you know, trends that have proven sort of very measurable successes for people, right? To maintain a sense of mystery, to
Yeah.
maintain a sense of I think Siddharth Chaturvedi ne bola tha. Siddhant Chaturvedi ne bola tha. He was doing an interview and he said that his dad always told him कि कोला की bottle है उसको bottle ही रखना करना bottle ही रखना, otherwise if you keep like, you know, turning it वो fizz निकलता रहता है. Like, okay, cool metaphor maybe, but maybe it's a one time thing, maybe one can preserve it. How do you preserve that sanity? Just by being very focused about your music, not too much chatter, but you know, the business must demand a different side of you in a space like this.
I feel like the business demands the norm.
Sure.
If you come in and say, I'm not going to do the norm, I'm going to do this, and you happen to achieve success with it, that becomes the norm,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So why can't I come here and say, okay, this is not the way that I want to do things. I want to do it this way. And then if it works, which to a certain extent has, why am I not now building the new norm? Why am, you know, what I stood for was right and proven in the end, right? So I don't need to succumb to what everyone else is doing.
Because you have a lot of belief and conviction in your work, which I think
Because
could be
I
lacking.
honestly, is not even a strategic move for me that I don't want to talk on social media. I just don't like talking. It's just as simple as that. I don't have anything to say. Why should I force it? Why should I make stories every day about everything I'm doing? I don't feel like it. I don't feel like picking up my phone and, you know, putting something on Instagram. It's just a feeling I don't have. So it's not conscious, but the conscious sort of decision in all of this is that I will not change who I am
Correct.
just because, you know, people are saying that if you are on social media 24/7 you're going to be successful,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that is the only sort of point that is valid here.
Sure. Absolutely. I was talking about self-belief, and I also think that it's as much as we'd like to believe that, we're solely responsible for our success and it's, just our artistry. I think that a lot of us are also privileged. I'd love to know, what was your experience as a child to be enriched with an environment where there are believers. Again, I'll talk about Hennessy once again. Belief in a craft, I think, is so important. Patronage is important, and patronage leads to also sort of a method and consistency in future patronage. What were those moments for you? Moments of belief that you derived not just from yourself, people around you, could be your parents, family.
I feel like there were a lot of things that happened in life that made me feel like Kaisa Mera Desh you mentioned earlier was a moment where I thought, you know what, I can do this.
Wow.
People are listening. I'm not bad at it. I made an impact. But I also feel at the same time these things were, maybe I was not prepared for it, maybe I didn't know how to go about it, but a lot of these things were short-lived. So they put me back into the position of me having doubts about, oh, is this actually going to pan out? Am I actually going to be a rapper who's going to earn a living just from rap?
Wow.
And to be honest, till 5 years ago, you could not, it was still hard to imagine that you would earn a good living rapping.
Right.
Wow. And it takes a lot from everyone around you for you to even, I know there is always going to be, a lot of people complain that, there's family pressure and there's this and that. I feel like they always need convincing, sometimes it's just that I could, up and say, I want to be an astronaut, but people around me are not going to believe me. It's not their job to believe me. I could be saying whatever I wanted, It is then my grind in their disbelief.
Yes.
Like
in the face of that disbelief.
In the face of that disbelief, that will prove
ये हो सकता है
कि हो सकता है कि नहीं हो सकता. And and it's with everyone. The closer you get to that point, the more everyone starts believing.
Yes.
So I feel like as a parent, you are going to say no. Like do something more conventional. Do something that gives you money every month. Do something that won't stress you out. And it's their job to do that.
Correct.
So I don't see that as like an impediment as such. If you can manage to convince them that this is what you wanted to do, or even in my case, I used to work, I had a normal job, I had a regular job. I sometimes left my job thinking I'll do music, और music नहीं हुआ, अच्छा नहीं हुआ कुछ, मेरी एल्बम को किसी ने नहीं लिया, मेरे गाने किसी ने नहीं सुने. But मैंने क्या किया? Went back to a job, but I kept doing this.
Right.
And मैंने किसी को बताया नहीं मैं ये कर रहा था. I didn't even I think till 2010, I don't think my parents were even aware that I rapped until Kaisa Mera Desh. They knew, and right before that there was a song of mine that came on some album. That's those are the points where they realized that, okay, he's doing this. But even after that, I did an album, even after that, there were so many of these points where I felt disheartened and nothing was really happening. And everyone can feel it around you. They feel that then nothing is happening. And when they feel that, then how do you blame them for trying to tell you that, maybe this is not the way to go.
Sure.
Maybe you should do that, So I feel like you just have to do what you have to do. Sometimes you have to work to make it happen. Sometimes you have to do something else to make it happen. The point is, there is no straight narrow way of doing this. The only reason that I joined a label, I worked at a label, I did all of this was to understand why my music was not there and why somebody else's was there, you know. And मैंने ये कहानी लोगों को पहले भी बताई हुई है कि मुझे चाहिए था कि मेरा जो A&R था उस टाइम उस लेवल पे, उसने मेरा CD सुना और या ना सुना मुझे नहीं पता, उसने बस मेरे को बोला कि नहीं इसकी साउंड इंटरनेशनल टाइप है, हम यहाँ नहीं चलेगी, ये मुझे बोला। तो मेरे दिमाग में तो बहुत चीज़ें चल रही थी कि यार इंटरनेशनल है तो अच्छी बात है, अगर मैं 18 साल की उम्र पे कुछ इंटरनेशनल बना रहा हूँ दैट्स नॉट अ बैड थिंग, बट ही सेड इट लाइक इट वाज अ बैड थिंग। तो मेरे दिमाग में इतनी सारी चीज़ें चल रही हैं, तो मेरे माइंड में इट वाज लाइक कि व्हाट डज दैट मीन, यू नो। तो मैंने फिर सोचा कि टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई समबडी एल्स इज देयर एंड व्हाई आई नॉट देयर, I thought maybe I should, you know, understand the business. And that is what led me to sort of getting an internship there, then working there. And मतलब मैं वहाँ गया और 3 महीने के अंदर लेवल पे मेरा गाना था।
Wow.
तो इसका मतलब बेसिकली मेरे लिए तो ये था कि कोई रीज़न नहीं था of me not being there. You know, it was just how the industry works. And sometimes you need to understand how it works. I feel like networking is a big part of this industry that is often overlooked.
Yes.
You know, a lot of the people that I used to work with back then in the industry are now heads of some of the biggest streaming services, you know, all of these places. And I know them, you know,
Sure.
and other rappers don't know them personally. And I've seen a lot of rappers you know get frustrated about हमारे गाने प्लेलिस्ट नहीं होते, हमारा ये नहीं होता, हमारा वो नहीं होता। The fact is कि it is unfair. The game is unfair. But you have to learn how to play it or circumvent it or go around it instead of just complaining that it's unfair. You know, sometimes that is required. To make it fair, you need to get to a point of or position of power and then say, okay, so today I use my voice and I say, the way this operates is unfair. People listen to me.
Yes.
If I am an artist that is just coming up and I say this is unfair, nobody cares about me, you know. So sometimes it requires you doing all those other things to get to that position and then open the gates for other people. Sure. You know, it's like just like going off topic a little bit. When I was sort of coming up and I was listening to, I mean, I was rapping and I was hungry and I wanted to, you know, as a young rapper, you always feel like what you do is the best. Like, I know how to rap. These guys don't rap.
Right.
I rap, you know. And I used to look at a lot of this commercial hip hop in India in the first wave. And I used to feel like, you know, why am I not there? Why am I not doing the things? I understand now that, you know, it requires a whole different skill set to be there.
Right.
पर मेरा एक उस टाइम एक सोच होती थी जो आज मैं बिलीव करता हूँ and I still stand by it is कि अगर आप जैसे भी आप पहुँचे हैं इस पेडेस्टल पे, इस सॉर्ट ऑफ लेवल पे कि आप डिक्टेट कर रहे हैं मार्केट, ठीक है, शायद आपने बहुत पॉप गाने बनाए हैं, शायद आपने हिप हॉप अपना डाइल्यूट कर दिया और आप इस पोजीशन में पहुंच गए, इस कमर्शियल पोजीशन में। जहाँ सब आपको देखते हैं, यू आर द स्टार, राइट? एट दैट पॉइंट इज व्हाट मैटर्स, or it is like at that point you can do justice to hip hop or not, because when you are in that position of power and everyone has their eyes on you, if you say, you know, I do this, I might be a hip hop artist, I'm a commercial hip hop artist, this is real hip hop,
Right.
people will look at it and be like, oh, this is real hip hop. But you can be a different artist, which has happened in India, and put out something that is completely not hip hop and say this is hip hop. Those same people will look at that and say, okay, this is hip hop. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So once you get the platform, how you use it is really what determines your integrity to the culture of hip hop, or your sort of, how in tune with it you are. I am willing to sell my soul to get to a point where I can say, listen, I do whatever I do and I got here doing whatever I did, but this is where the real stuff is. There are so many of these real rappers. This is what hip hop is. This is how we build the culture. And I might not have been part of it or might not remain a part of it, but at least I'm doing something or doing my part for the culture, So I feel like that is important, having that integrity at that point that when you were struggling, you were hip hop. If you make it, you still need to be hip hop. You can't just lose your way and then in the end say that, like something else is hip hop just because you made it.
Right. And I think to preserve that sense of integrity in a position of power is really the trick here.
Of course.
Who are the people that are exciting you right now? Young guns, budding people that you want to shine a light on and say.
I think honestly, I feel like I don't want to take specific names because then it's like, oh, I took this guy's name, but I didn't take this guy's name. But I feel like a lot of the new sort of Delhi rappers that are coming out, in fact, I'll tell you, I was judging this little rap competition in Delhi and stuff. I did it when it was like a radio show's first installment. I judged it, and I judged it. That was before the pandemic, and then 2019, and now I judged it right now. Only did it because I thought, okay, fine, giving back to the culture, let's do it. The change in terms of what they were capable of in 2019, that group, and what these guys are capable of in 2021 is insane.
Wow.
I feel like it was so tough this time to choose one.
Achha. Oh.
Because all of them at some level have really sort of got their basics right.
Right.
And once you get the basics right, it's easy to build. I used to feel like back then in India, people didn't have the basics right. They don't know how to ride a beat. They don't know, little things that like show that you're not polished. But these guys are polished. And the entire crop that is coming up now has that level of sort of work already, So I feel like if that is the future, then it doesn't matter. I can't predict who's next. And I feel like that is happening everywhere.
And it's great for the scene overall, right?
It is
That
amazing.
Everybody grows.
It's amazing.
Brilliant.
No, the more rappers that come up and are of a certain level, the more chances of some of them making it up, So it is great that there's a huge, vibrant scene.
Brilliant. Awesome. I'm very curious to know now, Krishna, what is coming up for you this year and, the years after that, and what your biggest sort of creative dreams are right now, knowing fully well that most of them must have already been fulfilled.
No, I think, honestly, I don't think any, I won't say any, but most of them are not fulfilled.
Okay.
And also I feel like it's so strange that sometimes when you achieve these things,
they no longer matter.
Yeah, the minute you achieve them, you're like, oh, okay. I used to dream about this when I was like 14, but like right now I did it and I'm like, okay,
no big deal.
It's not. And it's not that I don't appreciate it. It's just that my mindset is to just quickly move.
Sure.
And quickly move on to the next. And I feel like this year is just, I'm focused on singles. Maybe a project, but I'm not sure on it. I'll see by the end of the year. But I'm focused on singles because I just want to put music out and, and I just want to try new stuff, to be honest. People know me for a certain way that I do my stuff or my music. I want to break out a little and try this and that and, mix it up. Just so that, maybe I can find the next sort of frontier to my sort of artistic direction. So, yeah, that's what's up for the next year, and I'm just looking forward to it.
Great, and more power to you. Krishna, which is that most favorite quote that you turn to in times of, when you're seeking inspiration, motivation?
I won't say there's a quote, but I feel like the word persevere is very close to me. And I feel like whenever it is time that I feel like everything is stagnant, this is the word that I turn to, and I feel like it kind of resonates with me, and this is what my journey is built off of. So I feel like perseverance is something that I feel like is something that I connect to and I look at.
Beautiful. Great. Yeah. And what would your dream collaboration be?
Dream collaboration. This is a tough one because it could be anyone from like Jay-Z to like Eminem to like I mean there's tons of names that I would love to do songs with. I don't think there's at this point I don't think there's one name that I would say that okay, this is the guy. But yeah, I mean I guess Jay-Z would be amazing. Eminem would be amazing. Yeah, just a bunch.
Lovely. And what's your go-to hype song?
Go-to hype song?
Yeah.
A song called Feeling Myself by Mac Dre.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's a song that I used to listen to a lot growing up, and it still like puts me in a zone.
Cool. And speaking of songs, we know that you've mentioned Hennessy in one of the songs that we absolutely love, Villain. आप वो प्लीज वो लाइन सुनाओगे हमें?
पीऊं थोड़ी Hennessy, मेरे enemies is soft.
Brilliant, thanks. Is there any quality, Krishna, that you wish you had and you're still struggling to sort of cultivate in yourself?
Quality, I guess. I don't know, faking being nice.
You are genuinely nice. So fake करने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. Okay, tell me the first word that comes to your mind when you hear these words. Internet.
Amazing.
Instagram Reels.
Short-lived.
Nas,
the rapper, legend.
Failure.
Live with it.
Delhi.
Home.
Gully rap.
Phase.
Bombay.
Nice city.
Hennessy.
Hip hop.
And Rolling Stone India.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, Krishna. What a great pleasure for us to have you on this podcast. I think the conversation that we've had today has been truly inspiring for me, and I say this with, all my heart, and I know that this is going to be such a treasure for budding artists, budding musicians, and we wish you all the very best. I think you're one of the realest musicians, performers, artists out there.
Thank you so much.
And हम सब आपके साथ हैं.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great. So this is Rolling Stone India presents Hennessy Freestyle, and with me was Krishna. My name is Nirmika. Thank you.
No money, no conversation. मैं तो unavailable हमेशा on vacation है. Headshot अगर confrontation इनकी टोपी भी उड़ा दूँ लोग एक convocation है. Back with it, practice in attack करूँ मैं facts लेके जैसे activist accurate. Ravaging, rapping immaculate, packaging करना calculate मेरी value है challenging. मैं महारथी लगूँ नारदी भारती भाषा में bars लगे इनके महारथी करूँ flow जैसे महानदी पार्वती सारथी अब किनारे पे उतारो मेरी यारती. मैं ऑफन अकेला नो ऑर्फन और घूमता नहीं लेके मैं साथ में बहुत जन. ये रैपर्स यूट्यूब पे हिट पर शोज पे दे डोंट सेल टिक्स जैसे बॉस्टन.